Alright, what's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Daily Dungeon Diving. We are going to go ahead and dive right on in. I've gone ahead and analyzed the previous run, and yeah, it seems with the 1.1.1 update, they've reduced the number of enemies by about 20%. At least according to the data I got on my last run, which was my 6th dungeon run. We are currently going for the 7th. And yeah, it's very interesting. It looks like most of those enemies are actually possessed and plague spawns in terms of the enemies that they removed. So, yeah, for the most part, we just have to deal with less of those, at least according to that information. That's not to say that that is entirely accurate, being from only one run. But it's interesting information nonetheless. The number of Forsaken and Desecrators has not changed. The number of chests, so far as I was able to tell, have not changed. So yeah, it's looking like they really didn't make the dungeon that much easier. I also mentioned in my previous run that they had actually not fixed the wall bug slash glitch. And actually, now that some more people have gone in, people are saying to me that that has actually been fixed, that you can no longer use the wall trick, at the very least on Desecrators. I don't know about the Gatekeeper. I didn't think to even do it for the Gatekeeper, both my first time when the patch came out as well as the second time here. It just didn't occur to me. I don't use the glitch. I don't use that exploit, so it doesn't really occur to me to even try it. But yeah, apparently people are saying it's been fixed now. So for all the people who were using that exploit, well, now they have to find a different way to deal with the Desecrator, and the Gatekeeper as well. So for them, the dungeon just got much harder. For me, it's like, you know, just business as usual. It's just business as usual for me, so I'm just like, whatever. But I did have a little bit of a conversation with a couple people regarding the best way to deal with Desecrators. And we, of course, talked about the different weapons. For me, it's pretty much 50+ weapon or bust. I'm not going to go at a Desecrator with anything less than a Scimitar, Bastard Sword, or a Halberd. There's just no way in hell. And actually, as you can see from my loadout, I'm opting not to use Halberds because Halberds are kind of rare. I have several back at base. However, they are, for the most part, they're all full durability ones, and I want to save those for when I finally get the grindstone completed so I can sharpen them. Sharpening them, of course, will make them more powerful. And we've learned a little bit more about the grindstone and how that mechanic actually works, but I'm not going to go over it until I actually complete it. If you do want to learn more about the grindstone and whatnot, and if I have not gotten it and created an episode for it by the time you are watching this particular episode, then do feel free to go on over to JCF's channel. He did a pretty decent guide on it. There's a couple of he gives a number range as opposed to exact numbers for the various levels and what they actually mean. But for the most part, it's still pretty accurate. It's not, you know, completely accurate, but it's fairly accurate. So you can go ahead and check that out. He's one of my more favorite, actually pretty much my only favorite, so I guess he's the favorite by default. He's the only YouTuber I really watch for any kind of Last Day on Earth or Grim Soul Survival strategy stuff, because the other guys, to be perfectly honest, they are not very strategic, in my opinion. No, they just rely on the fact that they have lots of money or developer support or various other things to just, you know, do whatever the hell that they want to do in the game with pretty much no consequences. And that ain't how I roll. Okay, so I have a leper soldier here, and there is a Forsaken down there. So I wanted to try something to deal with the Forsaken and the oh god, why am I drawing a blank here? The Desecrators. And I looked at the numbers for armor, and I thought, you know what would be really great? It would be really, really great if I could reduce the amount of damage that a Forsaken does down to below 19, and if I could reduce the damage that a Desecrator does below 24. That way I could get one more hit in before I absolutely have to use a Bitter Tincture. So, okay, well, it's not amazing, but it is a thing. Okay, so I thought about it and I was like, okay, so how much more armor would I actually need? And I kind of looked at my guide, or well, not my guide, my numbers. I have a spreadsheet for all of these numbers, and I looked at my spreadsheet for numbers, and it basically told me that if I added about 70 to 80 armor, or actually, what was it? It might have been 60 or 70. But if I did about that, somewhere between 60 and 80 additional armor, beyond just what a tier 3 chest and legs give me, that it would get me pretty close to the amount of damage reduction that I wanted. So I looked at the various options, and the pot helm, of course, gives you exactly 70 armor. So that's actually a pretty decent way to get the additional armor. So that's kind of nice. However, when I looked at, you know, not only just, you know, the fact that it gives you the amount of armor that you need, the 70 additional armor for one piece, I also looked into what it takes for if you're going to be building it constantly, or if you constantly have to manufacture replacements. And I looked into that and I realized, okay, that's kind of expensive. It's a bunch of thick cloth and a bunch of copper ingots and some bronze ingots. Obviously, because it's, you know, tier 4 armor, it requires bronze. But I found that for the materials that you're going to use. Ooh, speaking of bronze ingots, that is very nice of you, game. I will take those. We'll leave them in here for the time being. But I kind of looked at it, and I think the better option, if I'm going to be using the additional 70 or 80 armor, whatever it's going to be, hopefully it's just 70 for the Desecrators at least. Unfortunately, the 70 armor was not enough to get the Forsaken down to 19 damage, but if it's enough to get the Desecrator down to 24, then I'll probably be happy with that. But I think, actually I've kind of lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? And there's not really a good kiting spot in here. I don't want to get hit by a plague spawn. I guess I'll come back here to use this. But I was looking at it, and, you know, the 70 armor or so, the better way to get there, if you're going to be sustainably farming stuff, and constantly having to replace all of it, probably would be the Tier 3 helm, as well as the Tier 3 gloves. I believe those would be a much better option to get the additional 70 armor that you need, in addition to the Tier 3 chest and legs. So I think I may end up using that, but for now, I have a bunch of pod helms that are kind of laying around. I'm not using them for anything currently. So if I can just use those to test, then I'd be relatively happy with that. So yeah, that's pretty much my plan. I'm gonna go ahead and test those out, because of course if I can get them down to those amounts of damage, what I can do is I'm just gonna go ahead and take a hit here just so I can make them bunch up a little bit better. If I can get it down to 24 damage, then what I can do is actually I'll be able to take 4 hits instead of 3 from a Desecrator. That would be a total of 96 damage, and then I can take my Bitter Tincture, and it'll be a little more efficient in terms of using healing items. And as long as I'm only using that armor, that extra armor for Desecrators, then the cost of the armor shouldn't really be a huge deal, because it doesn't get used up very quickly. There's only about 6 or 7 Desecrators in every dungeon, so it's not really a super big deal. Oh sweet, I've got all of the scrolls of Gerard Eisenhorn except for number 7 now. Okay, sweet. That is good to know. What else was in that chest real quick? I didn't really look at it too closely. A chalice, 4 jerky. Okay, those are nice items. Alright, I'll take those. But yeah, so, you know, as long as I can get it down to 4 hits without dying, then I think that would make my use of healing items a lot more efficient. Oh. That was almost bad. I had my, my Tier 3 armor, or my Tier 1 armor broke at a rather inopportune time there. Whew, that was a little scary. Oh, need to. Oh crap! There's a Forsaken. Well, we are gonna back the hell on up, and I am going to switch to my Tier 3 armor. I already know that that my helm isn't really gonna help me with what I wanted it to help me with, so we're not even gonna bother with that. And I'm gonna go around this way, switch to a Carthill, and you dead, friend. Thank you for trying anyway, though. But yeah, it would just, you know, I feel like, because unfortunately I'm using halberds at a little bit of a ridiculous rate, and if you're reasonably lucky farming Tier 3 zones, you can get halberds kind of quickly. You don't have to do that many runs in order to, you know, get a whole bunch of halberds, but for a lot of people, they're really not sustainable to continue using over and over and over. And even for me, they're not sustainable if I don't have a lot of time to farm for, you know, all of this stuff, which for the past week or so I really haven't had a lot of time. I've been busy with other things. Been busy with real life things, and then also, you know, there's my data collection and spreadsheet work and all of that stuff, analyzing my videos and all that, and trying to make thumbnails and all of that stuff for you guys. So, I mean, you know, all of that takes up time. But yeah, it's I haven't really had time to replace all of those halberds that I've used, and even to a lesser extent, I haven't had a lot of time to replace scimitars either. So I'm pretty much gonna try and only use the scimitar on Forsaken, and then from there, I'm gonna go ahead and use this bastard sword on the Desecrators. The Desecrators don't have as high of an attack rate, so I don't feel like I need like a super high DPS weapon for them. At least that's how I feel. Oh, I actually got the attention of another leprous soldier. That was not intended, but maybe I can kind of... No, I actually want to bunch you guys up a little bit. Not sure how I'll do that. Yeah, just gonna get a little funky. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to take some hits here, guys. I really don't want to take those hits from the plague spawns, though. That would be pretty unfortunate. Plague spawns can poison you after all, so they are the one thing I want to avoid getting hit by at all costs, and unfortunately I got hit by them anyway. But yeah, so let me think, what else do I have to talk about right now? Oh, yes, unfortunately I already kind of grabbed the reward, or the stuff from today's freebies, I guess, but I have confirmed that in the storage here now, what will happen is you will now get 2 flasks of water and 2 barrels of honey every day. And there is a timer on it, and when it first pops up, that timer will say 2 days and 23 hours, so you have 72 hours to go ahead and pick that stuff up. But seeing as how it does have a timer on it, which is more or less what we figured would be the case, that pretty much confirms that everything that you had in there before will not disappear after 72 hours. So that massive list of 72 barrels of honey that I have, it is mine forever. It's staying in there. And if it does disappear and prove me wrong, well, you'll be hearing about it. You will be hearing about it before long. Ooh, that's a Forsaken. And I don't know if I have time. Nah, I should have time to... Yeah, we'll be alright. Okay. My phone is kind of getting pretty toasty. Alright, now I just want to use Carthill and a little backup healing just to be sure. Sometimes he can get his hit off before mine does, so he could technically still kill you there. And unfortunately, my scimitar is not looking too good. No, it is not. So that's unfortunate. I may have to go up and grab one of the other scimitars that I have up there. I've got one more scimitar up top, and it's mostly at full durability, but it's not at full, so I don't have too big of an issue in using it. It's just one that I found in a tier 3 cache some time ago. It was at, like, I don't know, 70 or 80% durability or something like that. So let me see here. Possess. I got a leprous soldier here. So I can finish you off. And then, oh, and I'm wearing my tier 3 armor. I don't need to be wearing that. Okay, and then I want to at least see what the enemies are up here. That's a plague spawn. And that is a desecrator. Well, aggro these guys, and I will run back here. And actually, no, I want this. And let's see what kind of damage it does. 24, most excellent. Can I take another hit? Yes, I can. Sweet. So now I can take 4 of these hits. Unless my helmet breaks, of course. I am using up some of the helmets that, you know, don't have a lot of durability, so it's fine. How much HP? Okay. That does look a little scary. That really does look pretty scary. When I'm looking at the amount of HP that I actually have left. And I can take one more hit, but, you know, it doesn't necessarily look like I can. But yeah, that works. So 240 armor appears to be the magic number for the Desecrator, at least. Not so much for the Forsaken, but that's all right. We'll find that number in time. I really don't want to cart around this little bench because he can technically hit me from the other side, and also because it's rather short. But oh well. Say you didn't. Well, kind of hard to say. Yeah, this video's kind of gone on for a little while, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it here, guys. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna gather up all of these bodies, and I believe I'm gonna put them in this chest over here. This one right here, just because it's, you know, right along the path. It's pretty easy to find. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, guys, and I will be right back. So till the next episode, guys, take care.